All right, guys. All right, you guys. All right. So the goal of this video is to show a very interesting functionality inside the HTML, which creates a which creates a block element, right? It creates a block element at the exact spot where you click in the HTML page. Okay, so all right, so in order to find this example, we gotta go here. By the way, this is WSL on Windows, so it's really cool. You can have Unix you can have a Unix operating system pretty much working on your computer terminal. All right. So this is CSS grid mastery. All right. So another quick note. If there's anybody here who sees any mistakes, by the way, in this video, please write down in the description. It would be very good to hear um, other people's um, uh, perspective and uh, and and view. You guys are listening to a person who wants to get better. So we're not claiming any like almightiness, almighty wisdom. Uh, you know. However, we are here to discuss some simple features that are pretty cool. However, if you hear a mistake, put it down in the chat. You know, because we're all here trying to get better. You guys are listening to a person also who's trying to get better at web development skills. So please write down any comments you hear in the anything any comments, put them up in the chat. And if you see anything you want to make it better, or you want to have put up some advice, please also put it in the description for the betterment of the overall success. All right, so okay, what you guys are looking at here are blocks, right? And the whole this is the pretty much the app, right? So it's just a basic app that when you click it, right, it deletes. When you click on a place, it pops up, right? So this is a very interesting concept, right? First of all, when you have a first of all when you click somewhere else, right, it doesn't create a block, right? But when you click over here, it creates a block, right? So we're gonna discuss how this functionality works because it's really interesting. All right, so we reset this thing and it emptied up over here. All right, this is the code for this thing. All right, super simple. Not so much code. All right, now being on Chat GPT, we asked it a really interesting question. All right, what would be the projects that you would have to do, right, in order to be able to once you do them, that you would by automatically you would understand this how to make an app like this. Like, what would be the track that once you would do it, you would by default be able to know how an app like this works and be able to build it yourself, right? So the answer it gave is a couple projects, right? So this is in the comments section. However, of the HTML of this HTML script or whatever. So it said, first of all, make a project, add a box with a button, right? So this is super easy, right? So add a box with a button. Now this is very interesting, right? It says learn how to do document create element. class list add, and append child. All right. So the way I understand it is these are documents. These are actually JavaScript. These are JavaScript stuff. These are JavaScript things. You know. Um, uh, these are JavaScript. I don't know what these are called. But they're JavaScript stuff. Okay. So JavaScript is very interesting, specifically in this scenario, right? Everybody knows JavaScript is like the functionality, right? So there now this is how I understand it. So I'll explain you how I understand it, and you could probably write. And if you guys have some different way of understanding it, please write it down, whatever. So so there's stuff in the whole web development code or whatever. You guys see a bunch of code here, right? There's some code that you write and it makes a visible change, automatic visible change, um, in your, what's it called, document. And there's some stuff that doesn't really make a necessarily a visible change, but something happens underneath the hood, right? So we just had some text over here, totally irrelevant text. By accidentally somehow it popped up inside here, so we just deleted it. Now you could technically render your whole site with just this stuff, right? So we're not talking about doc type, HTML, and whatever. I know you gotta do it for some reason. There's a certain reason you put doc type and stuff inside your documents, right? Um, However, you know, we're just keeping it simple because we want to just discuss the functionality over here. All right, so you can just get away with just writing the what are called elements, right? Body, script. All right, so in order to understand this text, this application over here, we got to take a couple prerequisites, right, to be able to understand how to do it, right? So the first, what's it called? Hold on, let's delete these tabs over here. Um, all right, so in order to understand this, we got to make a couple apps to get to this level. Okay, this is like a higher level. We gotta get to understanding it. Okay, so we're in JS Mastery, right? So we're gonna open up a new file. We're gonna call it one project. Okay, .html. All right. So this has our reference, and this has our project that we will be working on with God's help. All right. All right. So check this out. Here, instructions, project. All right. So we've understood the goal that we're trying to do. First is that we're trying to get to the level where we will be able to build this application. However, just like we asked on Chat GPT, how would you get to this? How would you get to be able to build something like this and understand it by default of finishing certain projects? Like, what projects would you have to finish in order to get to this level where you could just by default, after learning those projects, by default you would understand this, right? So this is what it gave back, right? And this is the track we're gonna go. So hopefully you guys understand um, the whole source of how this popped up. All right, so all right, check this out. So first thing is to figure out project one, add a box with a button, right? All right, so when you do HTML, right? In our other we didn't really do this, but this is just like the traditional way. Um, back there we were kind of just breaking the laws a little bit. This is like the this is like the format, right? And everybody says you gotta do this. Doc type HTML. You just do that because there's a little. It just helps the rendering browser or somehow. All right. So body. All right. You get body. Um, body. Head. All right. So all these things you see over here, head, body, and script. Script. Um, I don't know where you put the style, but I guess we can figure it out somehow. Somebody maybe might know where to put the style, whether it's in the head or the body, but I think that it'll work either way for this example. Anyway, all right. So the goal is we're trying to make a project where we what's it called? We we will add a box with a button, document, create element, class list, add append child. Okay, and that will make a box. All right. Now this is really good stuff. This is really good stuff. We have to just understand a little bit about how this is gonna add a box. All right. Now when you want if you want to make a box, right? You you would first of all you would start by making a div, right? A div, hi, right? Now I don't really know the reason why people do classes versus IDs, right? So class class equals uh greeting, okay, or say hi. We'll just do hi or okay, greeting. Okay, so class equals greeting. Now these are called divs, right? Now as a div, right, you can you can well you will automatically see it inside the this thing over here. By the way, the reason why we say hi, uh, the reason why we're doing, by the way, like this is because you know it's a very common like proverb, right, that they say that once you do projects you will just naturally get better, right? Now this video, with God's help, it's not really like what's it called, it's not like a theory. It's more practical, right? Just practice to do it, right? Now the goal is to just kind of I think is that the goal is to get the person that they should learn, that they should like have a problem that they gotta fix and kind of have an idea of how to solve it, right? So here we got a problem, and now our goal is to figure out how do you solve this problem, right? So, however, in order to solve a problem like this, we gotta have a couple prerequisites that we gotta know. We gotta know a couple prerequisites. First of all, is just some basic stuff, right? So they say, right, that like in HTML, everything's like a box, right? And this is the best way I think you could understand this is like, look, if you go like this in the HTML, like this is a box, like this is a rectangle, and like this is like a square. This is like a box, all right? And everything is like that. Like that's how they say it. And this is how I've seen it so far, and you know it's all you everybody probably agrees that, and this is what they say, that this is that the HTML it follows this thing called the box model. I don't know how it works so much, but um, you know, if you were to copy this a bunch of times, and you see, you would go into there to the You would do hi, hi, hi. See, all of them are little boxes like this. Everything follows like a certain structure. All right, so these are called divs, right? Um, there's something called convention, right? Convention is like Chat GPT, kind of like when you ask it like how do people do things, it gives you like a conventional response, like based on how people do things because it like collected a lot of data, whatever. So convention it means like what's the way that you do it like when you're in the field or whatever, right? So this is how I understand it, that you know, you want to get something on the screen automatically, we got to use this thing called a div. All right, so now check this out. Our goal is to add a box with a button though, with a button. Okay, now this is a whole nother level. Okay, because check this out. If you go and get a and you do like this, hi, right, and you go to the what's it called, the screen over here, you'll see you have a button here, but nothing's happening, right? So we got to figure out how do you do this? How do you make, how do you, how do you get the box? Right? You got the button, but now we got to figure out how to make the box. So we've talked about how these things follow these, how all these things have like a boxes around them, right? So now check this out. As you see, this is like the invisible box. So if we're gonna go to CSS, this is the CSS part because it has this thing called style. In an HTML document, we could how to say incorporate a lot of different kind of things in a single page. We can incorporate JavaScript, which is this part here, which is called the script. We can incorporate this thing called style. This is a CSS, and the rest is HTML. Now, we talked about things before that once you change them, it manipulates the visual part. And then we talked about that there is another level that once you manipulate it, it will change the invisible part. There's an invisible part that you will change. So there is something sometimes you will change in the code. It will manipulate the invisible part, something you can't see that's going on under the hood, that's going on while this thing is going, like while this thing is running. And there's sometimes things that you change and it will manipulate the visual part. So far all of the stuff we've moved around, it will is manipulating specifically the visual part, right? um for example, like this is like something invisible, but it's not even close, from my understanding, as what we're gonna get to with God's help when we get to this script, because script already is another level. It's kind of cool. You guys will see that these things you will see that you can actually change these. You can actually change this with the JavaScript. So it's kind of crazy. Right now we're just building the basics, like we said over here. You just kind of have to like copy and paste these stuff, and eventually you'll be able to get kind of the way. Once we get to the script, with God's help, we will uh, actually be able to understand everything more deeper, because that's when we're talking more about the invisible side. Right now everything is very simple and it's very visual, and when we get to the invisible side, it'll be way cool. It'll be super cool. It's just gonna get on another level. All right, so okay, we talked about the divs. Now that's is how you basically structure your HTML to have some stuff inside. All right. So now we're gonna do greetings. So now we want to target for now we want to target this what's it called? We want to target this div, right? So let's add a border. like this. It will be like 1px solid and black color, um comma or semicolon, whatever. All right, so we got this. Let's say thing. We gotta save it. Ah, now check this out. See how it? See now, look at this, guys. This is good stuff right here. Look at this. You see how it made a border around the box? So you see how crazy this is? It's on another level. All right. So 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 we got our this thing over here. Um, we got this thing over here, and it covered around the box the box. So as we talked that this thing, that everybody says that it's like the box model or whatever, everything's a box. So if you put a border, right, it'll make this box. It'll put a border around the box, right? All right. So the goal is not to go so crazy over this, because, you know, we our goal is to, what's it called? Our goal is to add a is to make a box, to add a box with this button. Okay. Now the goal is to okay, we want to make a background color, not just a color. Background color. Anyway, we're gonna change this in a couple minutes. It's just to make things cool. All right. For the time being. Um, Now, like we were just explaining, that these things change the visible side of the code, right? However, our goal is to get to the invisible side, not just because we want to create the box, but just because the goal is to just kind of understand things under the hood, because once you do, kind of, it just kind of, it's crazy. It opens up your mind a lot. All right, so let's remember what place we're trying to get to. All right, we're trying to get to this level. All right, we're trying to build this. We're trying to get to the understanding where we will understand how to build an app like this, right? And so we asked ChatGPT, how many, what are the projects that we got to do, that by default of doing those projects, you will understand how to make a project like this, right? So now the source code for this project, obviously, it's up here, right? This is the code for this project. This is, if you write this exact same code, you will get this, right? With God's help or whatever. But this is the project. Like, for example, like you take this thing over here, right? And you copy it, and you go to HTML interpreter, HTML online interpreter, real time HTML. You paste it, boom. Um, okay, wait. We got this one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you do this, boom, 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 you get the boxes. All right. So this is just this what's it called? File is where the instructions from ChatGPT. Now this, however, the goal was to figure out how to do this code, right? So this is the code we asked ChatGPT. This is where we just pasted it, right? We asked ChatGPT, this code you see, right? What projects would you have to do that by default, when you do them, you would automatically already be able to know how to do a project like this, right? So it said, okay, well, listen, you wanna learn how to do a project like this. You would have to by default known how to do these prerequisite projects. which is these projects right here, right? So this is what we're trying to do. So our goal is to understand how to do the big project, right? And once we learn how to do the big project, well, how to do these little projects, by default we will understand how to do the big project. All right. So with God's help, right? All right. So the goal is to first make a box, add a box with a button. All right. So so far on our goal to make an app that creates a box with a button, right? Um, we've went through this little journey of messing, whatever, trying to figure out how to use this box, right? And fill it out the box. So far we've kind of understood that these things that people say, that CSS has, that HTML, CSS, whatever, that this web elements, they follow this box, the model box model, seems pretty accurate, right? Because as you see, we every time, if you take a div and you color it and you border it, it follows a certain like style box, right? It follows this boxed design, right? However, our goal is to make a button that once you click it, it will make the box. All right, so this is a very interesting discussion. How do we do that? All right. So first of all, we have to understand that, what's it called? Um, if we want to, um, if we want to make this, if we want to make this smaller, right? Um, let's just delete these. We'll just have one box for now. Okay. Um, so before we were talking about I said to you guys, I don't really know why we use class, because sometimes you can what's it called, you can go like this, and you can make it's something called an ID, right? So uh um so this is um Bob. All right, Bob. So, and this is how you target it, right? You go like this, um and you say you want to do back background color. And this is, by the way, why it's nice to use this Visual Studio Code, because sometimes once you get the hang of editing these visual elements, right? You kind of like, what's it called? It auto completes, and you could, what's it called? Um, do it. All right, so check this out. All right, so um, you see, you could target with the ID syntax, which means like, certain pattern that you write this type of pattern with the hashtag, it will do the ID, it will target the ID, and it's pretty much the same exact thing, right? You can add a border. So if somebody could actually explain maybe the reason why you do the ID versus the class, that would be very nice. It would be nice to know. However, you guys, just to let from just experience, you know, we've just kind of seen that over here, that you know it's pretty simple. You could just, it's pretty much the same thing. However, I don't know why we do IDs versus classes. Anyway, so apart from that, um, uh, we have to figure out um, how to make this button make a box. So if we do this thing right here with, um, so we're just gonna, there's different ways you can do a, what's it called, there's different ways you can add, there's different ways you can use different units to make a box, right? And it will change sometimes based on the size the uh, what's that thing called, window. So today, however, um, we're gonna use this what's it called, unit called pixels, width, height, just because you know, they're gonna stay the same no matter what. All right, so this is supposed to be a box, square. Let's see. Yes. All right. So so because it's equal, equal height, equal width, give you a square. All right. So we're gonna make this a little bigger. 100. Uh, by the way, when you guys get this stuff, I think you'll be really happy, just because once you can practice how to do this, you just feel a boss. Um, all right. So you get a box over here. So we got a button. As you see, the as you see, you know, the document gets just so like rawly, like ejected, like kind of like you know printed up on the screen in like in such a way, whatever. It's just here on the left side, you know. And I think that they start off of like this. They always start from left to right. When you put them on, right? So projected. Sorry, like the stuff gets projected in such a way that it's just so stale, right? So in order to change that, you have to position it using CSS, right? So far we have been using CSS to change and manipulate the HTML. So everything here, this is HTML, this is the HTML, the, this is the HTML, this is CSS, and this is JavaScript, but it's just printed in HTML, but doesn't have any JavaScript inside. Um, so check this out. Our goal is to make this nice, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna do so we want to make the button class in the middle. So as we said, so far over here on this, on the other side of the screen over here, you guys, I like I told you, it's questionable the reason why we use classes versus tag versus IDs. However, the reason I remember is that when you use classes, you can target much more. I don't know how much you could target um, with an ID. So this is just something, I think it's just a conventional thing to just always use classes, and it's gonna come in handy later on. I think what, excuse me, you guys, when you guys will do the JavaScript. All right, so check this out. So we got button class equals this is class is gonna be called button. So now you want to it. The goal is to target this thing button. Um. So So okay, there is this thing. It's gonna be, the goal is to make it in the center. Now, pretty much the way I heard you get things in the center is by the most common way, the most conventional way to make things in the center is to use this thing called justify content and align items center. Right now, the prerequisite for that is to what's it called? um, put these in a parent. So these are just right now regular elements. However, we need to put them inside a a parent, which is means that it's gonna be under. So yeah, yes, you guys, it's true. We are trying to make a simple button, create, how to say, a box. However, we are trying to kind of just cover basic CSS stuff. However, after this concept of the centering the stuff, it should be pretty easy. Um, so we're gonna call this guy the wrapper class. Um, let's go top. Class wrapper. So got button wrapper. All right. So by the way, so this is one of those things that I'm trying to figure out. Um, I think this is the hypothesis over here. I think you have to have the parent be flex or grid in order for this justify content to work. Okay, so check this out. So so this thing, the goal is to get it to be in the center, right? Now, this is the way you do it, right? You write this command, center, align, align, align items, center, um, and so this is supposed to get it to be in the middle. Okay, yeah, so it doesn't work. So that means that the display has to be a grid or flex. All right, so display has nothing to do with position. So later on, we're gonna talk about um, I think it's body. We're gonna have to set this to position relative. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do that in this one. How in this project, I don't think you need to do that. And know anything about this? Position relative. Um, I don't think that's a prerequisite for this project. However, this display has nothing to do with the position. The way I understand it, this is completely separate concept. At least for trying to do this thing, maybe they are somehow connected. Um, all right. So, thi- since we put this display grid, um, it should make the button be in the center. Okay. And if it doesn't, right, like right now, that means this grid has to be right here because because the way I think I remember hearing is that this wrapper has to be encompassing the two things, and the grid wrapper has to be set to um, display grid. Yeah. And if that's not the case, okay, there you go. It has to have a certain width. So um, width. So we're gonna do 100 virtual width and height 100 virtual height. So, like I said, that we would. I told you guys we would do pixels. However, it's just for this thing. Um, I think you actually have to do the virtual just to make things easier. I think the conventional method is to just do this. And so, hold on, let's just do this. Yeah, something like that. Height. All right, so and so I think that's where I think you have to cut this guys out of here. put them over here. Um, there you go. All right. Um, so the button, um, however, it's not really centered. Hold up. Button, greeting. Okay, let's put this guy over here. All right. So, all right. So we got this guy in the center, right? Um, um, how? How do we get this guy in the center? So the way I remember it is that um, we have to have a wrapper. We have to have a wrapper, meaning a parent. It's just called a wrapper. The wrapper has to have the the child. The parent has to have the child inside. Um, so um, we have to have this guy inside of it in order for for the thing to be inside. So with God's help, maybe we'll figure out that we'll do another like level like this. Like how many projects? What projects would you have to do by default? That by doing them, you would be able to understand like this project. However, not for this project, but for something like this, like to make it more simpler, right? To just to go down to go even more simpler, right? So like the whole concept we started in this video, right, was how many project what projects would you have to do specifically that after you do them you would be able to understand a project like this, right? So with God's help we will do the same thing, right? We'll do the same thing like this, but maybe for like a project like this. God's help, right? But it's just it's it's really interesting once you figure this out. I'm also trying to just get a hang of these, also. Um, however, it's pretty simple. Once you get the hang of it, you know, it's easy to what's it called? Um, make it up. All right, so so we got a box, we got a button in the center, right? All right, we got a greeting here. Now, if we say display equals none, right? None, our box disappears. All right, the box disappears and we don't know where it is, right? Um, so so say okay, let's get this guy. It'll be on top of the button. It will be on the center, right? Um, so we're gonna do block, and this guy will pop up again. All right. Border. Why is it so far though? Okay, the reason is because margin. Um, auto maybe that'll make it smaller. All right, no. Um, let's see. Something is. causing this space over here maybe. So, okay, what is this thing? Okay, so this is probably the. Let's see. What if this is flex instead? Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, grid. Uh, yeah, grid. Um. All right. I guess we have to figure out how to do this, guys, separately. So we have to do greeting. Okay. So we would do guy this. So first of all, we do top. Maybe 100 px. So then this guy display greeting block, um, justify content center. So this would probably get it, this guy in the center. All right, so you see, this is you see where we have to make another parent block for it. You see, because we have to make another wrapper if we want to make this be in the center. You know, that's how I understand it. You know, if there's anybody out there who knows a better life hack, um, feel free to write your comments in the description. Um, please, do though. Um, so, okay, so see this greeting. Okay, so see this guy is in a wrapper, right? That's how we got it in the center. So, okay, so we gotta do like this. Div, we gotta make another wrapper. You know, um, so we don't want, you know, over here on this side of the screen, you know, we don't really want to add a different class. We don't want to have the same name, so we're just gonna call it two wrapper. Two wrapper. So dot wrapper. Two wrapper. Okay. Okay. View problem. At rule or selector expected. What the heck? Okay. At wrapper. What? All right. Um. Two wrapper. Okay. Maybe we just gotta call it something else. Wrapper two. All right. Wrapper two. All right. So now we're gonna do display. Grid. We're gonna do. We're gonna take this guy's content. I guess we could have what's it called? Used the same class, but okay. Let's just see if how this works. Eh, something's off. Oh, this guy maybe. All right, so um, all right, hold up. Greetings. Okay, we gotta. Excuse me. Wrapper two. This guy is that. Justify content. top with border. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, there you go. That's probably why. It's totally opposite. It should be like that. Alright, so now we got this guy. Let's see. This is probably not gonna work, but let's see. Oh man. Alright. This guy popped out of here. Um Alright, so this guy's in the center. However, um this guy left. Button left. Okay, button's gone. Alright, hi. Button. Oh, there you go. That's probably why. It's totally gone. Why did we just... What point did we remove all the stuff on the button, though? Dang, that's crazy. Okay, I guess. Fine, whatever. Alright. So... Alright. So... We've been trying to do this thing the whole day, pretty much. This whole time, we've been trying to figure out how to do the button. Now, none of this even... none of this actually is... have we actually gotten to the actual point of how to actually add the button with the JavaScript, right? This has all just been the HTML styling, which is okay because this is showing the visual side of the code, right? Um, say display block. Let's see, where's this guy? Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's still here. That's probably why. It's because it's so far. Dang it. All right. All right. So all right. So for what's it called? For courtesy, you know, for the courtesy of the audience, right? We're gonna make this. We're gonna totally change this up. All right, just because we're trying to make this simple thing, and we're not gonna go crazy. Um, what we're gonna do is we're gonna delete this whole wrapper stuff. We're just gonna keep one wrapper for the button to be in the center. Um, and then with God's help, we'll make another video with how to do the whole centering and whatever. That's out the show. Okay, fine. So we're gonna do button, wrapper. Okay. So we're gonna do is okay. Okay, so we got this guy in the center. This guy, we're just gonna move it like what's it called? Wrapper, button, greetings. So you see, we got this high. So we're just gonna get rid of this completely. What we're gonna do is greeting. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add a we're gonna add this what's it called, top. We're gonna do left and top, and we're gonna do 50%. See if this works. So according to the hypothesis, this should put it to the side, and it didn't do it. All right, so left 50 px class. Okay, this is supposed to work. Dang it. What's going on over here? Right, justify content, center, and delete this. Left. Oh, you know what? We gotta do what's it called? Display. We're gonna do position. So I know we said we weren't gonna do this, but I guess we had to. We have to do this. Change your plans. Okay. Position relative. And if this is works according to the hypothesis, it's supposed to work. Yes, let's go. So if this works, top to 30%. All right, this should work. Yes. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. 30%. Relative top. What's this problem right here? 200 px. All right, so top brings it from the top, and left brings it from the right side from the left. All right, so it's kind of opposite, but away from the top and away from the left. So just think about it like that. Okay, fine. All right, so okay, this is pretty much, you know, this is pretty much the. We're gonna make this. Um, let me make this simple like this. All right, so top left. So instead of left, we might do 40%. We just want to make this. It's kind of like at least right above it, yeah. So 43. Um, and so now we're actually gonna go to the. Now we're actually gonna go to the whole point, and kind of like the section. So we're not gonna go crazy right now with the whole styling stuff. Our goal is just to make and figure out how to add this box with the button. All right, and this is kind of like the essence of this video. All right, um, is that you can have elements and you can have things in the code that change the visible side of the document, and then you can have things, right now is what we're going to discuss with God's help, about the invisible side, right? This is actually the cool side. And so this is where we kind of are trying to learn about this document create element, class, the variable dot class list dot add. Right, This is what was used over here, right? Um, um, class list, da, 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 the class list dot add. Yeah, there you go. This is where it was used. Um, okay, and we're gonna explain exactly what that means. All right. So the good thing is that this is a very simple project. All right. So just how we got used to making these, what's it called? Um, things. We can also get used to what's it called? Creating this next. Create, create element, create element. So this is actually something that runs. Now when this happens, it actually creates an invisible element. Okay, document dot create element. Okay, this is not right. Element. Okay, now this is correct. All right, create element. Um, we want to make. We want to actually make a div, right? We want to make a div, and what do we want it to be? We want it to be this exact. We want it to be this. We want it to be this because we're gonna delete this soon. So when you click the button, it's gonna create it's gonna create this exact thing, and what's gonna happen? It's gonna go under this regime because this is a class. So it's so crazy. It's so crazy how this happens. So in order to understand this, we have to understand a little bit of the invisible side. All right. So when we run this document dot create element div, right? This is actually an invisible character. Okay. Document create element div. Okay. This creates an invisible what's it called? Div. Now you could technically find out a way to like look it up somehow with the with this what's it called? Inspect or whatever. However, I don't think you really need to do that. Just know that this creates an invisible element, which is called div. All right. Now it creates an invisible div. But to do that, we have to first assign it to a variable. Okay, how do we know it's invisible? So we got to do this thing called const box equals document dot create element div. Right. So now this invisible box is is it's inside this it's called a constant. This invisible element is inside here. So if you do console.log box, all right, you do it like this. I'm gonna go over here. We want to console log it, which means it's gonna go into the console over here. Go inspect. There's this guy. There it is. All right. So if you go over here, how do you scroll this guy over here? All right, console. See? Nah, look at this. See? It gave you the console. Project 53, line 53. Look at this. 53. That's this thing. A console long this what's it called? Um this exact same variable. This invisible element. It logged it for you. Now you see this is an invisible element. It's not shown anywhere in the doc. The only way you can what's it called? Um get it to show is through the what's it called? The only way you could get it to show is through the console log. Right? So check this out. Okay, yeah. So see, this outputs a string, says box, but this outputs the constant box. And what does it give you? It gives you that create element div that it made. Now, like we mentioned, this is invisible. We don't see this. It doesn't show anywhere here. All right. So check this out. All right. So now that we understood that there's a concept of visible and invisible elements, we don't console log this, right? So just to show you even more how invisible it is, if we don't console log it to, if we don't like make a availability for us to see this, what got printed in the invisible side, we won't. Nobody is gonna ever know about it, you know. So that's why we got. That's why we have to understand certain stuff is visible, visibly seen in JavaScript and CSS and HTML. Certain stuff gets manipulated on the invisible side. All right, so we created a box that's on the invisible side, right, of the universe, right, of the JavaScript universe, right. Now, what we gotta do is we gotta change. We gotta put it to a class. We gotta make the class for it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do box dot class list. Um, let's see how you do it. Class list dot add, and then we're gonna make a dot. We're gonna make this a class greeting. Look at this. And you use HTML, just how you do the class. So this is another reason why I think you use these classes instead of the what's it called? What are those things called? Um, IDs. Is because later on in the JavaScript you can use the same syntax. That's what I think. However, please write down what you think. Whatever, maybe you guys know a different reason. All right, box classlet add greeting. So this is another invisible side what's it called, um, manipulation. What happens is this box, right, this invisible box that was created, first it was created, now the invisible box became in the class, it became a class list, it became in the class of greeting, and so now actually it's it took this position, it actually took it, it looks exactly like this now. The only thing we have to do is we have to append it. We have to add it to the what's it called? We actually have to add it to the um to the to I think you have to add it to a child somehow. Um so let's see. Okay, I want to write it for you guys. Append. Okay, so let's this is kind of a cheat. We're gonna look at this real quick. Const box, see document body append, two tests. Okay, so what was this doing? Wrapper dot append. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So what we gotta do is first we gotta okay, so we gotta make an invisible element. We gotta make this. We gotta add this to the invisible like universe kind of. We first we have to. So we have div. So we're gonna delete this soon, right? So we're gonna do body dot document um or just the other way around, document dot body. Okay, document dot body append child, append child, and what child box. So this is actually how we bring it from the invisible universe, we bring it to the visible universe. So okay, what we want to do now is we want to make this a function. So function um, boxed uh, function boxed um, let's see, that's probably how you write a function. All right, function box equals. Okay, let's see how you write a function. Um, document. Okay, so yeah, function name, parameter. Okay, fine. Okay, function box. Okay, so now for the class, we do this. Then on click, we do boxed. Okay, so this is supposed to actually work with God's help. Um, so here we don't have a box. Box is not defined. Okay, boxed function name. That's funny. On click boxed. Okay, so it's calling boxed. Function boxed. Oh, that's no problem with this. All right, quick Chat GPT. Chat GPT. Um, function box is this right function? Signature slash syntax. Maybe. All right, let's see. You're very close. All right, greeting is not valid. What? Oh, okay. Greeting is not in quotes. Greeting is not valid as an argument to the add. Quotes, second class expects a string, not a CSS selector. That's funny. Okay, fine. So I guess we were wrong about that thing. So we have to figure out how to do this real quick. Okay. So so yeah. This is greeting boxed. Greeting document. Okay. Let's see. What does this guy say again? All right. So greeting class add. All right. So that's it. All right. Fine. All right. So this should work. greeting is not defined. What the heck? Alright, so we're gonna figure out this thing right here. Let's help. No. Alright, so let's trying to figure this out right here. Alright, thanks for sharing. Okay. Add greeting. Oh, okay, fine. So you have to put a greeting. Okay, fine. This has to be a greeting. Alright, so it's not, it shouldn't be a CSS thing. So we were wrong. Sorry, guys. This shouldn't be a CSS in CSS like thing. So actually should be in a string, like it says. Now, let's see. Oh, there you go. So see, it pops up over here. Um, the reason why is it goes over there. That's the question. All right. Anyway, it didn't say it should be in the center. The program just says it should be. You should make a box, classless, add a pen child, right? So we made a function. We triggered it with the button, and it added a box. It literally makes an invisible div, then it puts that invisible div into the greeting, and then after the greeting, you document body.append in the box. The box makes its way to the actual, what's it called, um, uh, document, and as you see, you clicked it a bunch of times, right? If you click it, boom, you get the box. All right, so that is the pretty much essence. Um, we could try doing this thing. What we could do is we could do wrapper. What we could do is let's try to just do this guy real quick. Um, to do wrapper equal okay, const wrapper equals document dot query selector da 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 wrapper query selector wrapper document dot query selector wrapper. Then we're gonna do wrapper. Okay, so this is the J. So we want to make sure this is everybody knows this is a JS wrapper, JavaScript wrapper. Okay, so just to make sure, wrapper. Yes, it's not there. Wrapper. Um, wrapper. Okay, this should work. JS wrapper append box. So now it should be under the wrapper. I think it's gonna be there. Cannot read properties of null. Read properties of null. What does that mean? Read properties of null. It's not finding the same document. All right, let's ask Chat GPT. Okay, I'll put this guy over here. Excuse me. Da, 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 da. All right, now it's gonna give us. You're getting this error. Uncaught type error cannot read properties of null because this line is trying to select the tag name. Oh, query selected. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I thought it would be the same. Okay, whatever. Maybe we don't know this thing. Okay, fix dot wrapper. That's so weird. It's supposed to. The thing is, you know, you know, it seemed like before the wrapper. See, it doesn't show it. That's so weird. Why doesn't it show it? That's this guy. Why it's not showing up? This is why. This is the reason why ChatGPT is so cool. Okay, so we got this dot, and when you write W, there is no autocomplete for the, how come? All right, let's see the answer for this guy. Good question. The reason why your editor, probably VS Code, doesn't autocomplete wrapper when you type is likely because you're editing JavaScript and S tag before the DOM is fully loaded. Autocomplete at the bottom of the body. Right? It is the bottom of the body. Oh no, sorry. Ah ha ha ha. That's very funny. So it has to be in the body. That's weird again. Alright, so it's not saying. Okay, so we tried. It's still no autocomplete. Tried document content loaded. Anyway, okay. I guess we won't go crazy about it. Anyway, something to do with the editor. However, if we write this guy like this, right, gives us more boxes. Anyway, guys, we can say we've finished this project. It does the basic functionality. When you click the button, it makes more boxes, as we have wanting to do with this. Now, so far, yes, we have understood how to build and show elements on screen, basically, to bring them from the invisible side to the visible side. Right? So, with God's help, next project is going to be project 2 to style a box with position, absolute set, left, right, top, manually set. This is actually very cool, going to be a cool project. So, and remember, the whole reason for all these projects, to do all these projects, is to do all of them in order to get to the understanding of this project. All right? That how are you able to click anywhere on the screen and have the box pop up over here? All right, so it's pretty simple functionality. However, we do have to have some prerequisite projects, and like ChatGPT said, once we finish those projects, by default, we'll be able to understand this project. All right, so till next video, you guys, wish you all good, and God's help, we'll get to the next video with success and a lot of information. All right, guys, have a wonderful and good day. Wish you guys all good. Peace.